As you know, once the situation is completely collapsed in Afghanistan, there was a very difficult situation to everybody was trying to move out from Afghanistan, particularly who were working with the international societies like NGOs and other part of the militaries and so on. They were all trying to move out from Afghanistan, and my family was also part of that, because I was working with the international NGO, with the British international NGO, and we were trying to move out from Afghanistan, and there was a huge rush in the border, and there was any flight, as you know, taking place from Kabul to anywhere. So people were just rushing to come out from Afghanistan, and we were also trying that. But in the beginning it was very difficult and we couldn't manage it. So after a while, for a month or two, we were just waiting to the Russians a bit calm down, and we moved out to Pakistan with my family, my daughter, with my son, and with my wife, who was ill, and she was very much serious illness, and as well as my daughter was just got a little bit mental problem because suddenly everything has collapsed, and she went under the medication for depression. So we just, as a father, I would just prefer to move out from Afghanistan, and we just ended up to Islamabad. And in Islamabad, as there was very much high-ranking people from Kabul moved to Islamabad, so the rented of the guest houses just dramatically went up, and luckily we managed to find a guest house, and we stayed for something like a month in the guest house with a very high rent, and then eventually, alhamdulillah, we found this place, although it was very difficult, but we found this place. But crossing the border from Afghanistan to Pakistan, although we had the passports, valid passports and visa, was extremely difficult, and it was it was life-threatening situation. Now we are here with unknown situation. In the beginning, the healthcare was very difficult for the local people, particularly in the provinces, because the local people was just scared to what is happening in future. And also bear in mind, there was all the international society stopped helping Afghans, and all the donors, as here in the picture, they have stopped helping the Afghans, and after a month or so, most of the medication in Afghanistan ran out, and the health situation, particularly in the emergencies hospitals, and also the hospitals which caring the COVID and hospitalizing or admitting the patients with the COVID serious situations, just run out their medication, and the situation became very difficult. And on the other hand, in the hospitals with the surgery cases, there was a lot of difficulties faced with the running out the dressing material, medications, and all sorts of things to carry on the surgeries. And still it's going on, because you know, the priority for the national society is now the food situation, to get food supply for the over 20 million people who are suffering from the hunger. So this is some things that the international society is just giving the priority. Medication is in the second step, but as you know, the medication is also another challenge in Kabul, and still is going on. And as you know, in Kabul, the situation, the medical situation is dropping down and down, because the health cares and the international society who are helping the medical side in Afghanistan is no longer helping. If they are helping small amount, like the United Arab Emirates, they were helping just few tons of the medication, but it was not sufficient. That is the current situation. I hope that is being getting better if the international society helped the locals. You can imagine previously over 20 NATO countries, including the United States and all the rich countries, they were helping Afghanistan on a monthly basis. And also the borders were open and there was lots of medication importing to the country. And the economy of Afghanistan was very good because of the Americans' money in our, and the banking system was working very well. But after the collapsing the previous regime and the Taliban took over, all the system has just become deteriorated and basically stopped. Now, few countries with something like few tons of the medication and as well as the food will be not sufficient for the country with 34 million population. And bear in mind that once the regime collapsed, the economy is also collapsed, and majority of the people who were working for the government, they had no job and no money, and the banking system is completely stopped, and there was no bank, and none of the banks is just providing the money for the people they have reserved their money. So you can imagine how things were just developed in a few weeks. The whole system is just collapsed, and this is absolutely not enough. Even if the other countries start back their helps, it will be not automatically help the situation very quickly.